Finally. There's the green. Got it. Hello. Always waiting for that camera to show that it's on. So, this is a special story time. It's going to combine my personal experience with a little bit from the Bible. So, this is about, more or less, my experience with astrology, how I got interested in studying it, and my early interpretations of what astrology was based on the Bible studies that I was getting taken to as a kid. So this is a little bit of a circular tale telling. Hopefully you can stick around. They are starting to mow. I've been waiting for everybody in the house to settle down. They finally just stopped talking. And now they're mowing outside. Hopefully you can still hear me regardless. But anyways, the word must get spoken. My dad, backing it up, I was about 5 years old. My dad was in and out of rehab and AA my whole life. And back in the day, this was before they banned cigarettes from restaurants in California. And everybody would sit around and drink their coffee after AA. After sitting there and sharing. So you understand, I've been exposed to people sharing their cringiest moments, their deepest, darkest facts about themselves for the sake of healing my whole life. That's probably a reason why authenticity does not scare me, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it. I've been around exposed nerves my entire life. Anyway. Fascinating. So, this astrology thing came around from that crowd that was sitting around smoking cigarettes after AA and being vulnerable. My dad and I were sitting at a table with my sister and one other person. And this guy named JJ comes up to the table. And just for no reason starts asking everybody what their signs are. And everybody goes first. I'm last. It's a Cancer party. Even JJ. Everybody, summer babies. They're all Cancerians, and the sun's about to go into Cancer, so it's a very appropriate story to tell, actually. So, now JJ, I thought he was so cool. I want to tell you this, because it helps you understand when I got to me, and I got the reaction I got. I was so affected by the reaction. He was a leather jacket wearing, motorcycle driving, Mustang driving. He had a motorcycle and a Mustang, a Harley and a Mustang. And like the early 90s, I don't know. He was just a badass. Plus, he would give all the little kids $1. That was so cool. But anyway, so I'm like 5 years old. He goes around the table. Everybody's a Cancer. Big Cancer party. It's my turn. And I said, I don't know my sign. And he goes, when's your birthday? I said, March 26. And he goes, oh, Aries. And he kind of looks at my dad like, you're going to have trouble on your hands when you get older. When she gets older. And kind of gives him one of that, because Cancers, there was a conversation about, something, and there was dialogue, and then Aries. There was almost like a mini funeral. And a pin could have been heard dropping, it was like, if only back then JJ knew I was a double Gemini also. The man's face would have puckered. But I thought he was so cool. And it affected me to see him pull back like that. So that started my whole interest in understanding what made me such an asshole. What was an Aries? Like, why do people not like that? And it, of course, I was 5 years old. I did not have access to the internet in the early 90s. So I don't even think our household had a computer, to be honest. I had encyclopedias, and I would read encyclopedias. I love encyclopedias to this day, but, they're a little less relevant now. I do love researching online, though, and case studies, all that. So once I was able to get on the internet, I gravitated towards being able to research more astrology. And I didn't get a computer until I was 15 in the house. So that's when my world opened up. Maybe I was using other people's computers for a while. So it's kind of indistinguishable. But that's basic, more or less around 15 years old is when I got my first computer. So that's when my in-depth astrology studies started. Now, when it comes to... That's a terrible angle. I just want to lean on the table. When it comes to... I'm getting all distracted because I can hear them mowing. They got closer, so I'm praying to God it doesn't ruin the fucking audio. I'm so annoyed. I don't want to disrupt my storytelling, though, so I know they're going to get a little closer and then walk away. So I'm waiting for them to walk. Okay. So I got more and more into astrology. But, of course, you don't get to talk about these things until you're a certain age of adulthood, because I came up in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And that was just not acceptable, even though my grandfather and my grandmother understood that people can have visions and paranormal experiences. They were okay with talking about it as long as it was in a Christian light. But I just didn't understand what was so wrong about the language of the stars. If we're supposed to ponder the heavens, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is holy, if you're supposed to understand that the heavens declare the glory of God, why wouldn't you be able to understand a star chart? So there they go again. It never hit me as a sinful thing. It was always something like I didn't understand the taboo. I've always felt resistant to it being a taboo. This is actually my old study Bible, one of them, from all of those Bible studies that I used to get dragged to. Oh my God. This picture's in the front of it. The one's in the front's my sister. This one's an old friend of mine that I have not spoken to. She's a Gemini. Just had a birthday. I have not spoken to her forever. And of course, that's me in the back. With, our shoes and swagger. I've always been interested in sunglasses. It's not focusing. Super cool. Anyway, I had a nice tan. Should I get a bob? Did I look cute in a bob? Oh my God. Can you get any more digressed? No, you can't. So, let me get back to the fucking point. I just didn't realize there was photos in here. That was a good night. We were at the Arrowhead Springs Hotel. And if you know anything about the Arrowhead Springs Hotel, it's most definitely haunted. And I was just feeling so charged up being there. I was sleeping there overnight. And that pool is heated by the hot springs. So it's natural heated. It's just a beautiful little experience. The old-timey celebrities used to go hang out up there. It was a sanitarium at one point. Look at this cute little... Like, I put my address in the back, and I put like a little palm tree scene and a little shell and a sunshine. That's not my address anymore, obviously. That house is falling down right now as I speak. But anyway, back to Daniel. Daniel, as in the prophet, as in one of the major driving characters in the Bible, Daniel, he was taken into slavery from, it says, Israel to Babylon. So, from the Levant to Syria, more or less. And so I'm going to read verse 1 through 17, because it's all talking about diet in the front, and I'm not trying to talk about diet. I'm trying to talk about my point today. So, here it says, "As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill and all learning and wisdom." There was nothing hidden from them. It was all learning. There was no taboos. And all learning, wisdom, skill. And Daniel had understanding in visions and dreams. Daniel himself was the one that could understand visions and dreams. But all of them had the ability to use wisdom, learning, skill. It says that they were all adept in science in the beginning of this chapter. And science was a very different term than it is now. What do you think the fucking sciences was? It was the planets. I'm spitting. Now, that's verse 17. That was, "As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams." Verse 18. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them. Among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore they stood before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and all the astrologers that were in all the realm. These 4 slaves were so adept at astrology and the sciences of the time, which was prediction, healing sciences, magic, math itself. We can't separate math from astrology. Math and astrology are the same thing. That is the science. Read your fucking Bibles. Astrology's not, never once does it say in the book of Daniel, about Daniel, that he was condemned for using the Bible. It was Saul at the beginning of the Bible. I've done a podcast about this more in depth, and I'm not going to read the verses about Saul and the witch of Endor. But when Saul was conducting seances with the witch of Endor, there was other things going on. They were walking in the shadows. They weren't using this to the glory of God. They were using the shadow type black magic shit. And it's very clear about that if you really know how to read the Bible and look at it with open eyes. But Daniel is talking about magic in a different way, and he's never condemned for it. He's hailed as one of the best out of anybody in Syria and any of the countries anywhere. Like the entire realm. There's no condemnation there. Daniel served God with astrology throughout the entire chapter of Daniel. If you read your fucking Bible. My mother dragged me through so many Bible studies about Daniel and Revelation and Ezekiel. Old Testament, New Testament, bouncing back and forth between all of these psychic visions that these prophets had, the symbolism of the Bible, how to really understand the coded magic inside the Bible. Psalms is magical. Proverbs is magical. The entire Bible has astrological significance woven through the entire thing. I got one time, like last year, my cousin that I've only really hung out with once or twice when I was like in my early teens, like 11, 12, 13, around there. I thought she was cool back then, and I wanted to very much be friends with her, but we're kind of like distant cousins, and we just never hung out. But she floated into my atmosphere online on this very Instagram last year and told me I was going to hell for doing what I do. That's why I made the Astrology podcast. I'm going to hell for this. It's Katie Shasky's Spirituality with Muscle on Spotify if you're down to listen to it. But I go more in depth in the Bible study about astrology, about that very topic. But here we are right now. If anybody's confronting you or you're feeling confronted about it not correlating with your inner guidance, if you're coming from a Christian background, you're interested in, or, you know, any type of background that condemns the idea of astrology or predictions or the stars. I bet you they used the Farmer's Almanac back in the day when they had farms, though. There's a reason why people use the sky, as above, so below, as within, so without. The Bible does not condemn what I'm doing. So when it comes to astrology, my love for it started very early when I realized that I stood out in a group of people. And I continue to find out how I stand out and how I affect groups of people to this day. Not everybody likes me, but I'm always genuine. I'm always myself. I'm always showing up as myself. I actually want to ask people one of these days, like the people that know me, I want them to speak up on my Instagram. I want people to tell me if my online presence is the same as it is in person. I'm curious. I'm curious what people would say. But, you know, my whole life is special in and of the fact that I've been able to pursue my passions without abandon. Or with abandon. Without abandon. What's the proper way to say that? I haven't had boundaries with my special interests. I was homeschooled. I was able to be weird. So I'm continuing the tradition of my personality. Like I'm human just like everybody else. I'm figuring it out as I go along. But the way my brain works has always worked this way. I've always been interested in plants and animals and the stars more than I've been interested in fellowship or churches or traditional religions. I've always been interested in planting gardens and having the dirt under my nails and cooking a good meal from something that I've grown or something that's made with good ingredients. You know, I love putting good ingredients of knowledge in everything that I make. I put love in all my videos. So, you know, maybe being an Aries isn't so bad. I'll leave it there. Happy Monday. I love you guys.